Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Weinberger, and we're back with more Dysphagia Can Be Delicious video series. This is going to be an exciting one, holiday themed, just in time for Thanksgiving or Christmas. We're looking at the traditional turkey dinner and how can you make that safe for your loved one that's on a dysphagia diet. Specifically, again, we're dealing with the minced and moist or IDDSI Level 5 diet. How do we make that safe where you don't have to cook two separate meals, but you can take what your family is cooking and include your loved one in that meal and make it delicious. I used to own a catering company before I went to medical school. And one of the first things I learned from the chef that I apprenticed under was that people eat with their eyes before they eat with their mouth. And so if you try to serve your loved one something like this, it ain't going down. So I've got a very special guest here with me today to help out. Jen?
I'm Jen Christopher. I'm one of the speech pathologists at Gateway Hospital. I do outpatient therapy, and so I'll be helping him today with the video.
So we're starting with the turkey.
Yes.
And of course, turkey, as you just slice it off of the whole bird, or in this case, we have a roasted turkey breast. This is not gonna be okay. Very difficult by itself to make that safe. Basic two things that we're really striving for are the fork test and the spoon test.
Right.
So as long as you use those, you have a reasonably good assurance that you've prepared a meal that is safe and low likelihood of harming your loved one.
Right.
So we'll start with the white breast, and this is just plain white turkey breast. We're just gonna cut our turkey up into uniform cubes. And very similar, you'll notice a theme when you're dealing with a meat, you're gonna wanna do it dry, so that it doesn't get gummed into a paste, because turkey paste is really not pleasurable. All right, so we're gonna shake that down. And if you notice here, so see how it's chopped up the stuff up at the top, the bottom is still whole chunks. So you wanna really make sure that you mix that. Sometimes you may even need to do it in smaller batches. We've got some particles that look like a decent size, but then others, that wouldn't pass, would it? And so that could really pose a choking hazard to your loved one. So forks want to fit between the tines of the fork. So that's not okay.
No.
All right. Yeah. So look at this, even though that's formed into a little ball, that's kind of what we want. This has already got some moisture in it, but these are a nice uniform
Yes.
texture.
Yeah.
And when I look at any of these individual pieces, they all do fit completely through the tines. So now we're gonna show the spoon test. So as this is right now, this doesn't meet the spoon test. We're not done yet, right?
Correct.
Because this is kind of crumbly, and it can fall apart as they're trying to swallow it and really make
Correct.
this difficult to swallow texture. In order to get this turkey to meet our minced and moist spoon test, we gotta add some extra moisture here. So we're gonna do that with gravy. Who does not love gravy, right? This is probably thicker than most people have at their table, but it does make a really good base for making this okay with the spoon test. So I'm just gonna mix this in, and I can make it into a cohesive ball, and then it doesn't flake off or
Right.
drip off, but it does come off, and there's very little of it left on the spoon. So first thing we're gonna start with is the fried onions. Those are probably gonna be the most challenging part of this. And so we're gonna inspect kind of these particles and make sure I see some bigger chunks in here. So we'll go one more shot. All right. If you don't wanna pulverize the entire thing, just make sure that you get out the bigger pieces and that it's safe. So we'll take those out. All right, so we're gonna add just a little bit of this room temperature whipped butter, or you could use margarine.
Right.
It's really great to add these extra calories because people struggling with dysphagia, they really also struggle with weight loss and with malnutrition. So these extra calories can be very helpful. All right. Now this, after we've mixed the butter in, this still is not okay because I can tell that it's going to pass our fork test,
Right.
but when I put it on a spoon, I can already tell what's going to happen here. This is just going to drip off. It's really not forming a nice cohesive ball.
Right.
So we'll put in just a little bit of this. And that's just cream of mushroom soup concentrate, which you already have out to make your green bean casserole. I can already tell that's forming a nice ball.
Yep.
I can put it in my spoon. It's not flaking off.
Right.
Maybe a little sticky. So what do I do about that?
You probably want to grind up some more onion.
So less liquid, more onion. So I added too much cream of mushroom soup if we get that. All right. All right. Yeah, it's not as sticky, but it's still forming a nice ball.
Yep.
But now it comes off. All right, so for the green beans, what I'm going to try to do is chop these up into a little more uniform piece. Now green beans, these canned green beans, I wouldn't do this with fresh, but these are almost okay as they are in terms of softness, right?
Yes.
So if I try the fork test,
Yes.
oh, that's interesting. So it does just fit right through because I'm able to press that fork down completely.
Yes.
And it all goes through. So the pieces themselves don't have to fit through, but when I press down, it has to be soft enough that it, oh, that's really good. Okay, all right. And then that just leaves us with the cream of mushroom soup, which will allow, so this wouldn't meet criteria because it's gonna fall off, but if I mix this with my cream of mushroom soup, I can make it where it'll fit through that. All right. We're gonna just take little bits of this. And mix those in. I need to mix a little more, but let's try that. That works a lot better.
A lot better.
That's not bad at all.
No.
I'd take that to lunch. That's actually really good. We're gonna recommend that we go with the jellied cranberry sauce. And the beauty of this is you're done. So I'm pressing, it goes right through. So it's not truly a ball, but it's a cohesive piece.
Right.
Doesn't run off or flake, and
Yes.
for the most part, your mashed potatoes are already gonna be pretty close. Looking at the fork test, so that's easy. So this actually looks like a perfect consistency.
It is.
So now we're going to talk about dessert. We chose pumpkin pie because that's pretty traditional. So this is just whipped topping, which I'm really jealous that I don't have this at home. I'm just going to mix a little bit of this in. I'm not going to leave it like this, even though it's pretty and it's got the star, because we really want to make sure that we don't present our loved one with two different textures in that same bite. It's still pretty sticky, I don't know. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna try adding a little bit of ice cream to this. So, that's better.
That's better.
Yep, so I'm gonna get a little bit of this crust here. Now, real important when you're dealing with a bread or a crust or anything like that, any moisture in there is going to bind it up and you'll end up with a gloppy mess. All right, so we've got our crust here, and we're just gonna do this dry to start with.
That's perfect. Looks pretty.
Yeah, I like that. So again, as this is really crumbly, powdery. This won't work, right? This would fail, it would pass the fork test, but not our spoon test thing.
Right.
But I'll bet you we can mix this with a little bit of either the ice cream or the whipped topping.
Right.
So passes our fork test for sure. So it definitely forms a ball, doesn't run off. Perfect. Is it okay to hit it with a little whipped cream, or should we avoid that?
I think we can.
Just a little dollop. Just a. It's Thanksgiving. There we go. All right.
Good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So that, I'm not exaggerating, that is so much better than pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Like so much better. I'd eat this like a lot. Like, this is mine.